Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It's Marvin. Someone actually sent me this in a message to look at this video, and I've listened to it, and I thought it was worth putting on. And this is from an expat. He calls himself Tenerife Uncovered, and he's just said Jay Slater update Tenerife local does not add up. Let's listen to what you've got to say. If I do stop the video, it's just to pause and make a few pointers. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll try and make this to the point as quick as possible. I am not a content creator of any kind. I am not a budding detective from an armchair. I don't have a crime channel on YouTube. None of that stuff. What I am is a Tenerife local. I'm an expat from the UK. Now, I work for a pretty well-known water sports company. We do excursions, hire of jet skis, all that kind of stuff. We're easy to find. We work a lot with the Coast Guard here. They kind of keep us legal. They're good people to know. Tell us what we can and can't do, and they're very reliable, very knowledgeable. On Saturday, just gone, we are talking to Coast Guard, a member of the Coast Guard supervision team for Tenerife. So like the Canary Islands have their own Coast Guard supervision teams, the Balearic Islands and so on. And we are told on Saturday that allegedly an anonymous tip-off had been received in relation to the ongoing search for the missing persons case, which is obviously Jay Slater. I don't know what...
An anonymous tip-off. So, who found him, and why aren't we? Why isn't it news of who found him? What is such a secret of who found him? And there's other information of the day he was found, which I thought it sort of runs in line why they found the body so quick. But I'll let this guy continue so we can say it himself.
Form this was, whether it was a shady phone call or a letter or an email, I have no idea what format it was, received in by whoever it was received by. Now, what I do know on top of this is on Sunday, when the Euros final is on, bars, clubs, restaurants here are kicking. And I'm not just talking with locals, there's tourists, there's German tourists, UK tourists, everybody's here. And everywhere's really busy. Now, everybody that I seem to bump into or hear the conversations on Sunday were talk of the town is they found remains in relation to this case. I don't think any more of this, because I've already heard someone on Saturday, a pretty decent source from the Coast Guard.
This was Saturday, so why were we only told 72 hours later that there was a body found? So they were told in Spain, and in the UK we were told 72 hours later. That doesn't make sense, because there were videos out there saying those searches were still happening, and yet this guy lives in Tenerife. So make your own mind up about that.
Saying, there's been a tip-off and, apparently they're going to go and search for it. So I don't think any more of this on Sunday. Monday, I look at the UK media. I like to stay, abreast of what's going on back home. It's easier than looking at Spanish media, more relevant to me. And there's the breaking news from the BBC that they have just found remains, and they, suspected in the area where Jay Slater was last seen, or where his phone last pinged. Now, this is a head scratcher to me. So I'm like, well, if we're hearing this locally in Tenerife over the weekend, that there's been this apparent tip-off, this information received, that people who aren't locals on Sunday at a Euros final game are talking about this, it's really strange. Now, what's even weirder is on Saturday, the entire mountain range area near Masca was closed off. Now, I've never been to Masca. I have no reason to. It's a place you go if you're into hiking, cycling, that kind of stuff.
I think the reason for that is because they found the body and they didn't want anybody spying or letting know what they found. So that is a definite red flag there.
It's really big in September as it starts to cool off. unless you've got a reason to go there, you don't go there. But I know it was closed off, apart from to locals. So if you're familiar with this area, you'll know that you have to have passes to go to certain places on the island. Now, for what you'll see and think is a super hotel or a private golf club, it's not. Most of those places here in Tenerife are private residencies or they're apartment buildings for workers. I'm sure some are on Airbnb. But to get to those places, you need to have a pass, and it will basically be your registration of your vehicle, your residency. You keep it in your window of your car, on your moped, wherever. And they're there to obviously stop people from trespassing into places that aren't tourist traps. They're also there to make sure that people are safe. So frequently, and not just because of like this investigation into a missing person, but frequently here in Tenerife, those mountain ranges will be closed off, especially in winter. So if a storm comes, there's debris and there's all kinds of crap coming off those mountains. They don't want people just wandering around or in hire cars or going for a jog, whatever it may be, in those areas when there is a potential for danger when there is adverse weather. So that's a normal thing. But that's been closed now since Saturday to anybody that's not a local. If you haven't got a pass, you will be turned around at the bottom of those mountain ranges on those roads and sent back into mainland Tenerife. That's factual. What I also find really weird as well is that here, if you're familiar with this area or you've come out here to maybe be involved in the search that was going on, maybe a bit of dark tourism, on bulletin boards, I'm sure they've been posted on social media, I'd be amazed if they haven't been. There's maps that are being given out to just locals and to tourists and anybody that's come out to volunteer in this search. And they're gridline maps of the Masca mountain range. And that's purely so people know what areas have been searched, whether it's in an official capacity, whether it was third-party volunteers, just to stop people going over the same parts of land while this search was going on.
Yeah, but were they all also told if they found him, maybe they've signed a waiver not to say anything if they're in the search, because we've had so much different information for TikToks and YouTubers that's been out of there. It just makes you think, were they told not to, especially over the weekend, that something was found? It just doesn't add up to me. It really, really doesn't. And we really, really need to get the truth and know the truth in why we wasn't told 72 hours before we were told by British News. Later on, obviously.
Additionally, in that, it was announced in the media, and again, everyone here knew that a good couple of weeks ago now, the official search from the Tenerife police had been called off. Now, what I've seen since then, since this discovery's been broken in the UK, that they found remains in relation to this case, is that there was apparently a shady, in the background search still being carried out by local authorities here, by the police, and there wasn't. It didn't happen. There was not an ongoing search going on.
I think the Spanish police did stop searching, but they let other maybe British agencies and YouTubers and other professionals come and do the job, but they were nothing to do with the Spanish authorities. This is why I think people thought a search was going on, but the Spanish authorities finished weeks ago, and I truly believe that.
Makes me think that what we were all hearing here on Saturday, which was a talk of the town on Sunday during the Euros, that this had already broke and there'd been this alleged tip-off and they'd already discovered remains, was all true. That's the only thing that makes any sense to anybody here. Why would you try and tell, the media at large, as it were, that, we've been doing our own investigation and the search never stopped? We know it stopped. We know that the roads got closed to that mountain range over the weekend when all this stuff was going around here in Tenerife. It was local knowledge. Real head scratcher. Maybe this is already out there. Maybe people already know this, but something doesn't add up here. Something isn't right with the way this is being reported, whether it's just a lack of communication or holding back knowledge between the police in Tenerife and the police.
How can it be a lack of communication? We know this Spanish police would give up on this as a missing person, and they were ready basically not to find him because pressure from the media and the public force that search to go on at the end of the day. But we know that the Spanish authorities have a lot to answer to at the end of the day, but certainly things do not add up, because I knew we wasn't told the truth.
In the UK, we don't know, but the timeline is just not right. What's being broken in UK media as breaking news on Monday was already common knowledge here on Saturday, and that was Saturday morning. So it's been, 72 hours or more since that's already come out, and I'm just baffled to why only now is it suddenly become this hot topic of, we found these body parts on Monday,
and when it was Saturday morning. So this tells me this could be a cover-up, and that needs to be investigated as soon as possible. Why are we being lied to, the public? And it makes me wonder, did the family know it was Saturday as well? So that is going to be interesting, because there are locals who get information and a tip-off as well. Wow.
all this stuff. No, something isn't right here. Something doesn't line up. Now, there are 1,001 other conspiracy theories. I try not to indulge myself with the ones that are online, but the ones that go around here, yeah, there's some interesting stuff. But that's a story for somebody else to dive into. I'm only telling you what I factually know, what I've seen as a local, and you can kind of take this information and any way you want. But that's what's going on here locally, and I think it needs to be kind of known to whatever degree that what you're seeing back in the UK is not what's going on here in Tenerife.
So technically, we're being told two different stories, and that's really, really serious, because the public are not going to be happy with this. So I'm glad that I've carried it on, because I was ready to don't get me wrong, people, not to give up on it, but there was so much information that hasn't been found, and this is very, very, very interesting. And what we want is answers, and correct answers from the Spanish authority to put people's minds at rest. That's all we're asking for. Look, these are some of the comments. Do people realise how badly their body would be decomposed after 4 weeks? No one was moving it without being extremely obvious, and it has been frozen or something, which again would be obvious. Also, his clothes were off. Look into people's dying from exposure. It was very common. Yeah, it's true. They take off their clothes even in cold conditions due to the way their body starts to react. I agree. I don't believe a drug mule like Lucy or Brad. They're both lying to save themselves. That was someone's response. I'm just going to go down a bit. Here's another one. He tumbled 500 feet into a ravine. No conspiracy theories. Just a very sad story about a young guy doing his own thing, which led to his demise. There are still 6 people missing in Tenerife that haven't been accounted for. What do you have to say about them? Well, obviously there's different stories. I did do a video on that, and there's actually different stories about how they went missing and speculations. But you cannot find everyone. Some of those people have never been found. Locals saying that they heard body was found on Sunday. So this is before, don't forget that video came out yesterday about that man just speaking, the local in Tenerife. Here's another one. If his body was there that long, animals would have led us to him. His body would be ripped apart by animals. None of that was the case. The dogs would not miss the scent. They might have struggled to get to him, but he would have known a corpse was in a certain area due to the above. And that's brilliant. And that needs to be looked into as well. Was it Lucy's blanket, or could it have been Brad's or Jay's? Were the hotel rooms decorated with the same blankets either way? How did it get from the hotel to the Airbnb? By whom and when? Also, where is the blanket now? And that's a brilliant, brilliant question. Same place, the missing phone is, and the AP watch, I guess, by they will probably say irrelevant, case closed. But the case isn't closed, because there's still questions to be answered. Where is the AP watch or whatever watch it was? We still need an explanation about that. Here's another one. It's another message. Is the island of drink and drugs and also has a very bad criminal element operating on the island. You stay away from Playa de las Americas and particularly Veronica Strip during peak season and all is fine, but otherwise it's complete and utter carnage. Look, we can stop people from going to different places. Not everyone's going to fall victim to what goes on there. If you keep yourself to yourself and enjoy yourself and live by the rules and regulations in the clubs and bars, you should be fine. I think Jay was murdered and his body was dumped into the mountains. Why was he not found before in the place that had already been searched, but suddenly found the day before a new search team arrived? Who were all these three guys? I'm not too sure about that one. My cousin worked out there selling holiday homes and he passed away due to being overworked. His body was put on a plane and left for a week before flying him home. My aunt was horrified and wasn't able to visit her son before his funeral due to the obvious, couldn't believe they just left him there for a week. That's disgusting, it really is. I'm really, really sorry about that. Wonder if they found the watch with Jay. If not, why not? Or oh, he probably threw it away with his phone. Okay then. I'm not sure about that, to be honest with you. I'm not sure, but again, we're hoping that the Spanish investigators and police, out their version of the CID, will give an explanation about the watch if the story is true. And you know this is to be true. How do you know? He didn't comment on the watch and was told to try it for size and take a picture, tell the friends you nicked it and go in to sell it for a tenner. I mean, it could have just been a prank. That squealing sounded like an old block on tackles. Reminds me of noise used to wake up at Uncle's farm when he was stuck in ale base with his old rusty black and tackle. That's funny. The blankets are not the same. Yes, the colours are the same, but the pattern is totally different. Let's move on. I think the issue here is, was the fall site accessible, or did he get trapped into the inaccessible location and fall climbing out? If it is the latter, I would question how he made it in there in the first place, and does this nullify the ocean mountaineering accident hypothesis? So you question how he managed to get there, but believe that more than one person managed to get there whilst carrying a body. Yeah, okay. Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. You cannot write any theory out at the moment because that investigation hasn't finished. Looking at the site, the avoidance of the road, it appears he was in a paranoid state and moving at speed. I don't believe there was foul play involved in the fall due to the location of the terrain, but definitely was running at speed to escape the road. Fair enough. If the drugs are involved, I would not put it past the police covering it up because they are known for being corrupt. But even before this Jay Slater went missing, it was very known that the cops there are very, very Tenerife and would want to keep the island clean of people actually talking about the island in a bad way. But there's so many videos coming out, not just about Jay Slater, but about the island itself and many people. And I have put a video up yesterday about people going missing in the last 6 months. I think it's about over 15, 16 people, but they only listed 11. So I'm going to actually go back over the last, say, 2 to 3 years and get a round number of the people who went missing. And I think only out of the 15, only actually one was found, which I stated yesterday. He never stole no Rolex unless he was framed. I can tell just by looking at him. He is a follower, not a leader. Well, we don't know that. Like I said, we don't know him personally, but all we can go by is what was said, or the picture, and anyone can make their mind up about that. It's, you know, down to each individual. The Spanish police sectioned off the ravine. That wasn't searched completely the first time. They found Jay, not the team that arrived there Sunday. But what the guy was saying in the past video, the expat confirmed that a body was found Saturday morning in there. So that's not true. The Spanish would have never let the Dutch take credit for finding Jay's. Would have made them look so embarrassing. Strange how they found the body the day the Dutch arrived. This is my main point. Arrived. Weird how that area has been searched many times. That same area had been, you know, searched many times. I keep saying this. There's no mention of the watch. We wouldn't be able to tell the difference between falling off a cliff and being pushed. They probably planted a bag of bones to get rid of all the bad media. Won't believe anything until he's in the UK and an autopsy done. Thank you very much. That's probably the best message I've seen. Would love to know the system employed for the search and which areas were searched first and why and the strategy. At the end of the day, like I said, you know, we can't answer all the questions at the moment, but we can only go by, the shady things that have been happening now, and it's going to be interesting what the Spanish police, because they're going to actually be forced to come out and say something. Found evidence of drugs taken at player. Is that a joke or is that a serious statement? Is this really how naive some of these people are? What chance is there of the truth coming out? That's another great point. It was an AP, not a Rolex. Haven't you seen the video? At the end of the day, well, some people say it's an AP, some people says it's a Rolex. There's always going to be conspiracy theories when people go missing and not found. Crime is everywhere and in every country. It's very, very true. Very, very true. That's a great point by ME53, who makes some great points on my videos. Is there any proof 11 people are missing? Well, that was documented on the Spanish police website of missing people, so that is true. My condolences to Jay's family. This is so heartbreaking. Very true. Let's see if I can find any more interesting ones. Jay was likely thrown in the terrain on Saturday night on the 13th of the 7th, 24, around 2:30 a.m. Paul Annett made a YouTube on the 13th of the 7th, 24, showing a lot of strange commotion in Masca. When Masca is always very quiet at night, and on the 13th, suddenly all the houses in Masca had all their lights on and the dogs were barking very strangely, non-stop. When dogs like that bark for so long at night, it's because they can smell a dead body near that the above ground. Jay's body's parts, human remains, seem to have been hidden in a house building in Masca or near Masca and moved on Saturday night, 30th of the 7th, 24, around 2:30 a.m. and thrown into the terrain. And it's likely why the dogs were howling and barking in such a peculiar way for so long. Jay's body parts, human remains, were like thrown into the terrain on Saturday night, 2:30 a.m. Jay was stabbed and attacked, proof of videos. Wow. Jesus. I'd like to find out how he got all that information. Jay's body parts, human remains, were found naked and with his hands tied behind his back. His belongings were found next to him. Oh my God. What I'm going to do, I'm going to find out, obviously, this YouTuber and see whether, this message, and see whether we can get for more information. Did he hear that on the Spanish news? And we haven't heard that now, because there's some weird things coming up. Please tell me, Atlantic Blue 2665, where you've got that information from. This is very, very important. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment. You've seen that message there. That is very, very a powerful message, which could let us know what is going on here. I'm going to chase things up and see what information I could find a bit later on. Thank you for subscribing the channel. Keep backing me and hopefully we'll get the right answers. Thank you.